Okay guys, before you watch this video, hopefully you watched the prior one on rational expressions. This one, our goal is to practice a little quadratic formula, as well as learn how you can also solve quadratics with factoring. Let's get started. So in this first example, guys, I'm going to first of all always solve it first with factoring. I need to start by minusing 5 both sides. Why? Because I need this 5 here with a minus 5 to become a 0. You can't solve these until it equals 0. Let's see what we have on the left here. I have an x squared. I have a minus 3x. Now, what's negative 13 minus 5 is negative 18. Now, here again, you could solve it with a quadratic formula, but I want to show you guys, on this one especially, it's quicker and better to just do factoring. So I'm going to do the x method here. I know that negative 18 is my product. And I know that negative 3 is my sum. And if I try 2 times 9, 18, of course I can't get 3. So I'm going to do 3 times 6, 18. Now to get negative 3, I hope you agree, I'm going to do a plus 3 and a minus 6. Again, a 3 minus a 6 is negative 3. And of course, 3 times negative 6 is negative 18. And so we have the right factors. So notice this plus 3 here again means x plus 3 is a factor. And this negative 6 right there means x minus 6 is my second factor. It is equal to 0. So now what I can do is solve it, right? Right here, I know negative 3 plus 3 is 0. Right here, I know that 6 minus 6 is 0. So my two roots, as we like to call them, is negative 3 and 6. Now, let's say instead you're like going, well, I'm not too sure about my factoring, which hopefully you're getting better at, by the way. But always know you can always use quadratic formula. Now, I have most of the work already prepared and done, guys, to save a little time, so follow along here. Here we go. So, first of all, I think we can all agree that we know how to find A, B, and C. My A here is 1. My B here is negative 3. My C is negative 18, right? So hopefully we can agree, at least we can get to that point. Now, guys, I'm leaving that quadratic formula on my information wall for you. So keep that in mind. So here we go. Let's do the quadratic formula. We have to do the negative of our B, which is negative 3, plus or minus. We have to do the b squared. Again, b is negative 3, so I'll have negative 3 squared. Notice I'm using parentheses. Minus 4 times my a, which is 1, my c, which is negative 18. That whole thing is divided by 2 times a. A again is 1. So again, guys, let's be honest. Can we agree we know how to find a, b, and c? And then, if we have to, we look on the wall and we go, okay, I need to follow that formula, which I just demonstrated. Negative b plus or minus square root b squared minus 4ac, all divided by 2a, right? So continuing on, the next thing, please do it in steps. What I mean by that, do you agree that negative of negative 3 is positive 3? I would then do 2 times 1, 2. I'm going to save this square root for last, in other words. Now, how did I get 81 there is, if you look right here, guys, and you look right here, I use my phone calculator since I didn't have my regular calculator. Sorry about that. But, guys, please remember, see how I use parentheses. See how I use parentheses. If you don't use parentheses, guys, you're going to get it wrong sometimes. Now, I hope you don't want to gamble on sometimes being right. So use parentheses. It guarantees you're right every single time. Okay? So use those parentheses. See how I get 81. Then, as you can see right here, I'm going to do the square root of 81. And I did it right here, and I got 9. So if you agree that the square root of 81 is 9, now all I have to do is take this 3, and I'm going to plus the 9, and then I'm going to minus the 9 and divide by 2. So 3 plus 9, 12, divided by 2 is 6. 3 minus 9, negative 6, divided by 2 is negative 3. Notice I got exactly the same two answers. Look at that. So the quadratic formula, guys, will always be your backup plan. Okay? But just know that a lot of quadratics that you'll be given, at least, you can factor and solve it. But the quadratic formula will always work for you. All right, let's do one more example. Now, this one's a little bit tougher, and this is probably the one you'd probably want to use the quadratic formula on. But let's get started here. First thing we must do is minus 8, right? Why? Because we need it to equal to 0. So I have 5v squared plus 37v. 50 minus 8 is 42. Now, I'm going to solve it with factoring real quick here, guys. All right? And I'm going to do it my favorite way because, frankly, it's just better and it'll save us some time. But hopefully you guys know you would do the X method. Let's talk about that real quick. Always take the first times the last. 5 times 42, right? And, of course, my middle sum is still 37. Okay? Now, 5 times 42, this is where some of you use your calculator. You'll get 210 here. Okay, 210. Now, what you need to do, guys, is figure out, well, 5 and 4. Oh, wait a minute. Oh, guys, we have to be careful on this one. See, this is a problem with doing the X method to me because you can get tricked very easily. See how we have 5 and 42. I know that 42 minus 5 is 37. The problem is our 210 is positive, and negative 5 times 42 would be negative 210, you see? So we need a different combination. We can't use 5 and 42. Okay? So now what? Well, if it's okay, guys, I'm going to just set up my way, and then we'll talk about it. I know that 5v times v is 5v squared. I know 42 most likely is 6 times 7. Okay. And let's check my inner and outer loops here. 6v in the middle, 35v on the outside. That's not showing up very well. Let's try. Oh, green shows up really good. Right? Now, can 6 and 35 make 37? No. What I'm going to do now is I'm just going to switch them. Okay? So, oh, that's a 6. 7 times 6 is 42, right? So now notice the 7v makes 7v. The 6 here times 5 makes 30v. Ah, we got it. So I know that if I make it plus 7 and a plus 30, I have my 37. So, in other words, for those of you that are going to do the X method, you're going to use your calculator. See this 210? You're going to do 210 divided by 2, 210 divided by 3, 210 divided by 4. You're going to keep dividing. Eventually, what you're going to get is 7 times 30 is 210. And then, of course, 7 plus 30 is 37. So you're going to get the same thing I got here. Okay? So now that we have that hopefully settled, our answer is going to be 5v plus 7 times v plus 6. Since it's equal to 0, guys, notice right here, I know that negative 6 plus 6 is 0. And right here, I know that 5v, remember this is 5v, has to be negative 7. So I'm going to divide by 5 here. Hopefully you can see my divide 5. And I know it's negative 7/5, which is negative 1.4. Okay? But anyways, guys, if you still need help on factoring, we'll be practicing it at least for the next week to 2 weeks before the final. Okay? But let's get the quadratic formula. Does everyone agree A is 5, B is 37, now C is going to be 42, right? So hopefully we can agree right here with our A, B, and C's. And as you can see, I did most of the work, actually all the work. Let's just go through it real quick. Here I just did negative of B, B being 37. Here I did my B squared minus 4 times A, which is 5, and C is 42, all divided by 2 times A, which is 5 again. I'm following that formula. Again, it's just going to be on the information wall for the next several weeks. Now what? I'm going to do this part in my calculator. That, of course, is negative 37, and 2 times 5 is 10. So the square root, how did I get square root of 529? Well, guys, please remember to use parentheses. And as I plugged in the square root, the inside of the square root, I got 529. And the square root of 529 is 23. Okay, so long story short, I now know that this is 23, square root of 529. And now I'm going to do plus and I'm going to do minus 23. I'm going to take this negative 37. I'm going to plus 23 and get negative 14. When I divide by the 10, I get negative 1.4. I'm now going to take the negative 37 right here. I'm going to minus this 23. That's negative 60. And when I divide by 10, I get negative 6. Again, notice exactly the same two answers that I got with factoring. Okay? Anyways, guys, I hope you watched this video more than once. You pause, rewind it. You should take notes on these problems in your notebook. You should take notes of these problems in your notebook, just like you're going to do today's assignment in your notebook, right? I gave you a nice PDF in Google Classroom to do that with. So, guys, that I think will end our video here. And I will see you in class tomorrow to do more of this practicing together. And trust me, we'll do different things tomorrow as well as we prepare for the final, which is only 2 weeks away.